Picture this: Rome, 1960. The Olympic Stadium erupts as a young black woman from Tennessee crosses the finish line. Not once, not twice, but 3 times, each time leaving the world's best sprinters in her dust. The crowd of 80,000 roars. The fastest woman in the world raises her arms in triumph. But here's what would make your jaw drop. Just 14 years earlier, this same woman couldn't even walk. Her name was Wilma Rudolph, and she wasn't supposed to be there at all. The girl who couldn't walk. Let's rewind to 1944, to the small town of Clarksville, Tennessee, a place where segregation still cast its long shadow, and opportunities for black families were scarce as rain in a drought. Wilma Rudolph entered the world prematurely, weighing just 4.5 pounds. She was the 20th of 22 children in a household where love was abundant, but resources were stretched paper thin. And then, at age 4, disaster struck. It started with scarlet fever, then came double pneumonia, and if that wasn't enough for a small child to bear, polio, that dreaded disease that had paralyzed thousands of American children, invaded her body. When the fever finally broke and the immediate danger passed, little Wilma faced a devastating reality. Her left leg was twisted and useless, the nerves damaged, the muscles weakened. The doctors were blunt in their prognosis. "She'll never walk again," they told her mother Blanche. Never. That word hangs in the air like a death sentence for a child's dreams. Never run, never play, never dance, never chase her siblings through the yard, never sprint down the track. Never. But here's the thing about the word never. It's really just the dare in disguise. The power of one woman's refusal. Blanche Rudolph looked at those doctors, looked down at her daughter's twisted leg, and made a decision that would change history. She simply refused to accept their verdict. Think about what this meant in 1940s Tennessee. Blanche was a domestic worker, her husband a railroad porter. They lived in a segregated society where black families had limited access to medical care. The nearest hospital that would treat black patients was 50 miles away in Nashville. Blanche didn't have a car. She didn't have extra money. She didn't have connections or influence. What she did have was something more powerful than all of those things combined. An unshakable belief that her daughter deserved a fighting chance. Twice a week for 2 years, Blanche loaded Wilma onto a Greyhound bus and made that 100-mile round trip to Nashville for physical therapy. Twice a week, every single week. In rain, in heat, in the bitter cold of Tennessee winters. And that wasn't all. At home, Blanche learned the therapy techniques and performed them on Wilma's leg 4 times a day, every single day. She also enlisted Wilma's siblings in the mission, teaching them how to massage and manipulate her sister's weakened leg. Can you imagine? A family turning their modest home into a rehabilitation center? Brothers and sisters becoming therapists? A mother becoming a one-woman medical team, hour after hour, day after day, month after month, year after year. This wasn't hope. This was determination with skin on. Wilma wore a metal leg brace. She hated it. That cold, heavy metal became both her support and her prison. Other children stared. Some whispered. Some laughed. But inside that little girl with the twisted leg and the metal brace burned something those other children couldn't see. A fire that no disability could extinguish. The first victory. At age 9, something miraculous happened. Wilma did something the doctors said she never would do. She removed her leg brace and took a step. Then another. Then another. She walked into church one Sunday without her brace, and the congregation gasped. They had witnessed a miracle, yes, but not the kind that happens with lightning bolts from heaven. This was the miracle of human will colliding with relentless effort. This was what happens when never meets watch me. But Wilma wasn't satisfied with walking. Why would she be? She had spent years watching her siblings run and play while she sat on the sidelines. Now it was her turn. She wanted to run. She wanted to fly. By age 12, she wasn't just walking, she was playing basketball. Her oldest sister was on the high school team, and Wilma was determined to follow. There she was, the girl who wasn't supposed to walk, diving for loose balls, racing down the court, refusing to let anyone outwork her. Her basketball coach noticed something. This kid was fast, unnaturally fast. So fast that he called his friend, Ed Temple, the track coach at Tennessee State University, and said, "You need to see this girl run." From Clarksville to Rome. Ed Temple took one look at Wilma Rudolph running and saw something that made his heart race. Raw, explosive talent. He invited her to train with his collegiate program while she was still in high school. At 14 years old, just 5 years after removing her leg brace, Wilma was training with college athletes. At 16, in 1956, she made the U.S. Olympic team and went to Melbourne. She came home with a bronze medal in the 4x100 relay. Not bad for a teenager. Not bad at all for someone who was supposed to never walk. But Wilma wasn't satisfied. Bronze wasn't good enough. She had tasted Olympic competition and wanted more. She wanted gold. 4 years of brutal training followed. Coach Temple pushed his athletes to their limits, and Wilma pushed herself beyond them. She enrolled at Tennessee State, ran with Temple's famous Tiger Bells team, and transformed herself from a talented runner to an unstoppable force of nature. Then came Rome, September 1960.
3 days that shook the world. The 100-meter dash. Wilma exploded off the blocks and demolished the field, winning by 3 full meters, an eternity in sprint racing. Gold medal number 1. The 200-meter dash. She did it again, pulling away from the world's best sprinters like they were standing still. Gold medal number 2. The 4x100 relay. This was it, the chance to make history as the first American woman to win 3 gold medals in a single Olympics. But disaster nearly struck. The handoff was bobbled. Wilma received the baton in 4th place, behind the German, Soviet, and Polish runners. This is the moment that defines champions. Behind, with less than 100 meters to make up ground, Wilma Rudolph dug deep into that same reservoir of determination that had carried her from a leg brace to the Olympic Stadium. She accelerated. Her long, fluid strides ate up the track. She caught the Polish runner, then the Soviet, then, with just meters remaining, she overtook the German and broke the tape first. Gold medal number 3. The crowd went absolutely wild. La Gazzetta dello Sport, Italy's famous sports newspaper, called her La Gazelle Nera, the Black Gazelle. The French called her La Perle Noire, the Black Pearl. The world fell in love with this graceful, powerful woman who moved like poetry in motion. But here's what made Wilma's story resonate even deeper. She came home to a segregated Tennessee, where restaurants still refused to serve black customers and facilities remained separated by race. When Clarksville wanted to throw her a parade and celebration, Wilma said no, not unless it was integrated, not unless everyone could come together to celebrate. It became the first integrated event in Clarksville's history. Even in victory, Wilma Rudolph was breaking barriers. The starting line in disguise. So what can we learn from Wilma Rudolph today, more than 60 years after her Olympic triumph? Everything. Wilma's story teaches us that obstacles aren't roadblocks, they're starting lines in disguise. That metal leg brace wasn't the end of her story, it was the beginning. Polio didn't destroy her dreams, it forged them in fire. Every never she heard became fuel for her "watch me." Think about your own life for a moment. What's your leg brace? What's the thing holding you back, or so you think? Maybe it's a learning disability that made school harder. Maybe it's a financial setback that closed doors you thought you needed. Maybe it's a failure that crushed your confidence. Maybe it's a background that doesn't match the pedigree others have. Maybe it's a diagnosis that scared you. Maybe it's simply the voice in your head telling you that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not talented enough. Here's what Wilma Rudolph would tell you. That thing you think is stopping you might actually be preparing you. The leg brace taught Wilma persistence. The twice-weekly trips to Nashville taught her that progress requires showing up even when it's hard. The years of therapy taught her that transformation happens in small, repeated actions. The stares and whispers taught her that other people's opinions don't define your potential. The early struggles taught her a work ethic that her naturally gifted competitors never developed. By the time Wilma reached the Olympic starting blocks, she had already run a race far more difficult than 100 meters. She had already proven she could overcome something far more challenging than world-class sprinters. The polio that was supposed to cripple her had actually prepared her for greatness. Your race begins now. Every single person reading this has a race to run. You have dreams deferred, goals abandoned, potential locked away because somewhere along the line someone said never and you believed them. Or maybe you said it to yourself. But Wilma Rudolph's legacy isn't just about athletic achievement. It's about the transformation available to anyone willing to put in the work, day after day, even when progress feels impossible. It's about the power of one person refusing to accept limitations. It's about turning your greatest weakness into your greatest strength. That little girl in Tennessee who wasn't supposed to walk became the fastest woman in the world not in spite of her disability, but because of what it taught her. She learned that limitations are liars. She learned that never is just the starting gun for people determined enough to prove it wrong. She learned that where you start doesn't determine where you finish. What's your Rome? What's the victory that seems impossible from where you're standing right now? What's the goal that feels so far away that you've stopped believing you can reach it? Here's the truth. You're already in training. Every obstacle you're facing right now is teaching you something you'll need for your victory lap. Every setback is building the strength you'll need for your sprint. Every person who doubts you is adding fuel to the fire that will propel you forward. Your leg brace, whatever form it takes, is not your ending. It's your beginning. So lace up, step up to the starting line. The crowd might not be watching yet. The world might not know your name. The odds might be stacked against you. But remember, there was a little girl in Tennessee who wasn't supposed to walk, and she became the fastest woman in the world. If she could do that, what can you do? The race is on, and you're already qualified to win.